Good morning, everyone. I'm Bhavna Sharma, Assistant Professor, Department of Commerce, GemTech, Greater Noida. In previous lecture, we have started with theories of entrepreneurship, and we have discussed 5 theories in it. One is innovation theory, need for achievement theory, status withdrawal theory, theory of social change, and theory of social behavior. Now we are going to start with theory of leadership. According to Horslitz, entrepreneurship is a function of managerial skills and leadership. Business also requires finance, but that is of only secondary importance. So Horslitz explained that a person who is to become an entrepreneur must have more than the drive to earn profits or accumulate wealth. So in this process, he has to show his ability to lead and manage. So generally, there are 3 types of leadership. One is merchant money lenders, second is managers, and third is entrepreneurs. So money lenders are market oriented, managers are authority oriented, while entrepreneurs are production oriented. So merchant money lenders, they generally deal in goods and services, which is acceptable to everyone. So an entrepreneur creates his own commodity and the acceptability of that product is uncertain. So entrepreneur assumes more risk as compared to money lender or a trader. So making profit is not enough to succeed in entrepreneurship. So Horslitz has opined that entrepreneurship can develop in a society where its cultures permits a variety of choices and where social processes are not rigid. Social conditions should ensure the development of enterprise-oriented personalities. He has also emphasized the role of culturally marginal groups. So marginal men or groups enjoy an ambiguous culture and social position which have no bondage of tradition to inhibit them from entrepreneurship development. But there are certain factors like economic or political which encourage the people to initiate the entrepreneurial behavior. For example, we can take like the governments, they are trying to encourage the entrepreneurs by offering them various types of incentives or subsidies. So potential entrepreneurs are also opting for enterprise development. So next is theory of model personality. Theory of Kokan is a sociological theory of entrepreneurial supply, and Kokan has emphasized on cultural values, role expectations, social sanctions as the key elements that determine the supply of entrepreneurs. So according to him, an entrepreneur is neither a super normal individual nor a deviant person, but an entrepreneur is one who represents a society's model personality. So basically, an entrepreneur's performance is influenced by 3 factors. One is his own attitude towards his occupation. Second is the role expectations held by sanctioning groups. And third one is the operational requirements of the job. Now, this theory deals with only social factors. Profit is the most important factor for encouraging entrepreneur to assume the risky behavior. Even the need for achievement starts from profit-making process. So entrepreneur is also expected to assume the managerial functions, but this theory fails to incorporate all these requirements. Next is theory of systematic innovation. Professor Drucker has developed this theory. He has explained that systematic innovation consists in purposeful and organized search for changes and in the systematic analysis of opportunities that changes might offer for economic or social innovation. So systematic innovation means 7 sources for innovative opportunity. Now there are 7 sources. So first, 4 sources are First is the unexpected success or unexpected failure or any unexpected outside event. Second is incongruity, that is between the reality as it actually is and reality it is assumed to be or ought to. Third source area is innovation based on process need. And fourth is changes in industry structure or market structure that catch everyone unawares. Now we have discussed four sources. Now another set of sources is, first is demographics, which include the population. Second one is change in perception or mood. And third one is new knowledge, can be scientific or non-scientific. Now Professor Drucker has explained these theories, but there is a considerable overlap between them. They can be linked to 7 windows, each on a different side of same building. Like each window shows some features that can also be seen from the window on either side of it, but the view from the center of it is distinct and different. So basically, the first four sources that we have discussed, it lies within the enterprise, whether it is a business or public service or any industry. So they are visible primarily to people within that industry. So they are basically known as the symptoms. They are highly reliable indicators of changes that have already been happened. While the second set of sources for innovative opportunity changes the outside the enterprise of the industry. Now this theory of systematic innovation is comprehensive because the entrepreneur is required to identify different sources of change. An entrepreneur is expected to coordinate these changes with opportunities available in the environment. For example, new scientific knowledge is not most reliable one, but the theory tries to provide a comprehensive framework to the entrepreneurship. So we can say that entrepreneurship is a multidisciplinary area. Entrepreneurship is governed by human factor, which is living in an ever-changing society, pursuing simultaneously the economic objectives or social objectives. So unless a theory of entrepreneurship is woven into, say, sociological, cultural, psychological, political fiber, it cannot give a sense of economic wealth. Next is the theory, uncertainty bearing theory. This is given by Frank H. Knight in 1957 in his book Risk, Uncertainty and Profit, regards profit of entrepreneur as reward of bearing non-insurable risk and uncertainties. So entrepreneurship is associated with risk bearing. So Frank Knight had distinguished risk into insurable risk and non-insurable risk. Now there are certain risks that are measurable and probability of such risk can be estimated. So such risk can be insured. So example of insurable risk is like theft of goods, there is fire in the enterprise, accidental death. On the other hand, we can say there are certain risks which cannot be calculated. So probability of their occurrence cannot be ascertained, like the risk associated to change in price, there can be a change in demand, change in supply. So these risks are non-insurable. So Frank Knight has opined that profit is reward for bearing the non-insurable risk and uncertainties. So uncertainty bearing is one of the most vital function in dynamic economy because the entrepreneur bears the uncertainty involved in the enterprise. Expectation of profit is supply price of entrepreneurial uncertainty bearing exercise. So we can say that in a state of economy when there is no risk, every entrepreneur will have minimum supply price. So if the reward allocated to entrepreneur is below it, then the entrepreneurs will abstain from providing their entrepreneurial services. So there are salient points of the Frank Knight's theory. One is the entrepreneur earns pure profits for bearing the uncertainty. Second, probability of uncertainty or non-insurable risk cannot be statistically estimated. Next, entrepreneurs undertake risk of varying degrees according to their ability. So the theory suggests that the more risky the nature of enterprise, the higher level of profit that is earned by the entrepreneurs. Next is the profit is the reward for entrepreneur for bearing the risk or uncertainties. So it should be the part of normal cost. Reward of entrepreneur is uncertain. Entrepreneur guarantees the interest to lender of capital or wages to worker or rent to the landlord. And last is there is level of uncertainty in business which can be reduced by applying the technique of consolidation. So total level of uncertainty can be reduced by pooling the individual instances. So Frank Knight's theory is one of the most sophisticated theories to explain the supply of entrepreneurship, which is based on profit. But there are certain drawbacks. So the various criticism are that the role of entrepreneur has not been elaborately provided by theory, and entrepreneur's activity has been restricted only to uncertainty bearing. And modern business activities are different. So there is a dichotomy between ownership and management, and these factors have not been taken into consideration. Next criticism is that this theory has discussed the concept of profit in a very vague way. The exact estimation of profit for entrepreneur has not been provided in this theory. Next is that profit is a residual income of entrepreneur, and that has been criticized. While last is that uncertainty bearing should not be treated like other factors of production like land, labor or capital, because it is a psychological concept and should be treated in a different manner. Next theory is theory of Frank Young, which emphasized on the changes in group level pattern. So Frank Young has emphasized that entrepreneurial initiatives are conditioned by group level pattern. Frank Young has rejected the psychogenic interpretations of entrepreneurship. He considered the solidarity groups responsible for building entrepreneurship. So Frank Young has opined that entrepreneurial characteristics are observed in clusters or ethnic groups, occupational groups. Entrepreneurism at individual level is manifestation of group level pattern. Frank Young has disapproved the notion of entrepreneur working individually. So entrepreneur functions as a member of a group. The entrepreneurial initiatives, the actions, these are the outcomes of experience and exposure of individual entrepreneur as a member of a particular group, the family background of entrepreneur, or the manifestation of general values of group. So economic problems faced by the individual entrepreneurs are mitigated by solidarity of entrepreneurial groups. Individual entrepreneurs, they enjoy the confidence of their association with solidarity groups, which help the individual entrepreneurs to overcome any sort of economic problems. Frank Young has reduced the group level pattern behavior, which is exhibited by the entrepreneurs on the basis of his test, which is known as thematic appreciation test. So Frank Young's theory includes the idea of reactive subgroups, and these reactive subgroups play an important role in enterprise creation. The reactive groups crop up whenever a group experiences low status recognition, limited access to social networks, or have better institutional resources as compared to other groups in the society at the same level. Thank you. That's all for today.